Today's read aloud is Almost Invisible Irene. Irene was having a bad day. First, Miss Morris reminded the class that their oral reports were due next week. I'd rather go to the dentist than give an oral report, thought Irene. She was shy. Then Miss Morris called on Irene twice, even though Irene didn't raise her hand. Both times, Miss Morris told her to speak up. Both times, everybody in class stared at her. I wish I could disappear, thought Irene. When Irene came home from school, her grandparents made a big fuss. "Teeny Reeny," said her grandmother, pinching Irene's cheek. "You're getting so big." "You're not so teeny anymore," joked her grandfather. Irene didn't like being fussed over. The next morning in science, Miss Morris asked how animals protect themselves. "Roaring and biting," said Adele. "Hissing and clawing," said Will. "Running away," said Patsy. "3 good answers," said Miss Morris. "But how about becoming invisible?" Irene's head shot up. "How do they do that?" she asked. "Camouflage," said Miss Morris. "Some animals keep safe by blending into their surroundings." She held up a photo. "Can you see the foxes?" "Hardly," said Adele. "Not really," said Will. Irene thought she could, but she didn't say anything. "See how they almost disappear against the snow?" Miss Morris pointed to the foxes. "Their coloring protects them. It protects polar bears and snowshoe hares and snowy owls too," said Gerald. "How do you know so much about animal camouflage?" Irene asked Gerald after school. "I learned about it when I got my chameleon," he said. "Osgood changes color a lot. Sometimes I can hardly see him." Gerald pulled out some photos of Osgood. "Wow," said Irene. She went home and read about animal camouflage until dinner time. That night Patsy called. She was having a sleepover party for her birthday. "My mom's even baking a pink birthday cake," she said. Pink was Patsy's favorite color. "I can't wait." "I can," thought Irene. She always felt shy at parties. When she woke up the next morning, Irene thought about Gerald's chameleon. She wondered if she could disappear by blending in with her surroundings. "If Osgood can do it, why can't I?" she said to herself. It turned out Irene could. She wore pink pajamas, pink slippers, and a pink bathrobe to a Patsy party. She even brought a pink blanket and a pink pillowcase. She had a very good time. On Monday, Irene decided to try more animal camouflage. This time, she wore the same bright colors that were in the classroom mural. Miss Morris didn't call on her once. On Tuesday, Irene dressed in green to go hiking. She blended right in with the trees and bushes. On Wednesday, Irene wore the colors of the desert rattlesnake, brown, gray, and white. They also happened to be the colors of the school lunchroom. Patsy and Adele didn't even see her. Have you seen Irene? No. Have you? Do you guys see Irene? Patsy called that night. "Did you skip lunch today?" she asked. "No," said Irene. "Funny," said Patsy. "I didn't see you." Then she said, "I can't wait to read my science report tomorrow." "I can," thought Irene. She was still nervous about talking in front of the whole class. The next morning, Irene dressed in the same clothes she had worn on Monday. Her blue top and tan skirt were a perfect match with the colors on the mural. "I guess I'm ready," she said to herself. Just before lunch, Miss Morris called on Irene. She walked to the front of the classroom. Her hands were damp and her heart were racing. "My report is about animal camouflage," she said. "I wanted to see if I could use it to hide." Suddenly, the class was very quiet. "They're interested," thought Irene. "Did it hide you?" asked Patsy. Irene nodded. Tuesday I went hiking in the woods, she said. I wore a green hat, a green shirt, and green shorts. I was like a tree frog or a lizard, hard to see against all the green around me. Wednesday, I tried camouflage at lunchtime, said Irene. I wore the colors of the cafeteria, white, gray, and tan. They are also the colors of the desert rattlesnake, which hides in the sand and rocks of the desert. Did it work? Asked Will. Yes, said Patsy and Adele together. The most fun I had was on Monday, said Irene. I wondered if I could hide right here in class. So I dressed in the colors as our mural. Irene walked to the mural and sat down in front of it. What do you think? She asked. Everybody stared at her, but she didn't mind at all. It works, yelled Adele. Awesome, shouted Patsy. Gerald clapped his hands and everybody joined in, including Miss Morris. Irene blushed. Everybody liked my report, she thought. Patsy and Gerald walked home from school with Irene. I just figured something out, said Patsy. You wore pink to my birthday party. You were trying to camouflage yourself, weren't you? I was, admitted Irene. I didn't know you were shy, said Gerald. She hates attention, said Patsy. Irene smiled. Actually, she said, I think I could get used to it. The end.